Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Can you let me know if you can hear me? Just want to make sure that my audio is good. Yes. Yay. Hello, everyone. I'm jumping on a little early because I want to ground in the energies that are coming in. I love you all. I'm so happy to be here. Holy cow. There's a lot of messages that came in before this Q&A that I want to share, and then I'm going to go into the Q&A. So, okay, I'm just grounding in the energies. Settle in. Welcome everybody from around the world. It's so beautiful and it's so amazing to be able to be live with everyone because we really get to feel the energies of all of us coming together and really supporting each other during these really powerful times, these massive physical shifts in the collective consciousness that you're doing, that I'm doing, that we're all doing together. And it can feel a little lonely at times, right? Like, am I the only one going through this? Is anybody else going through this? And I can tell you that we are all going through this together. It can just feel like maybe you're the only one navigating these intensities right now. So let me, I do have a bunch of questions. Thank you guys so much for sending me the questions. There were like 400 and something questions. They were all super important questions and all questions that I would love to answer. I just don't have time. So I picked about 10 that I felt guided to answer. And before I go into that, I want to state a couple of things. One, the information that I get is from the Galactic Federation of Light, and my truth does not need to be your truth. Okay? This is just one viewpoint. This is one perspective, and this is one truth. It is not the absolute, and I'm not here to convince you of anything other than what resonates with you. I'm not here to argue or debate anyone else's truths, any other teacher's truths. I am here to show up and be a channel and conduit for information that's coming from a higher perspective. And if it resonates, awesome. And if it doesn't resonate, awesome. There are an infinite amount of truths that are available for us right now based on your resonance. And so a truth is only a truth if it resonates with you. And one of the things that we're learning to do as we move into higher states of consciousness is we are learning to hold all the different truths, regardless of whether they're your truth or not, allowing everyone to have their opinion and truths and beliefs. That's unifying. The way you unify is you bring together the divides into one now unified moment, which means that you're in a quantum field, which means that there will always be an infinite amount of truths. Unification doesn't mean that you get rid of the truths. Unifying means that you hold the quantum truths, all possibilities, all truths, all beliefs, all opinions. You hold all of it in the now moment. That's a unified field. And that's what we're learning to do right now. So if this doesn't resonate and you're like, oh, it doesn't feel good, just turn it off, right? That's the beauty of being a free-willed creator, higher dimensional light being. So that's the first thing. The second thing that I want to share before we begin is what happened to me when I went into meditation this morning. So my guides gave me this experience to share with you guys. Right now, we are shifting into higher states of consciousness. And when you move into higher states of consciousness, meaning your physical body starts to shift into higher frequencies. When your body starts to move into higher frequencies. It allows you the ability to be in higher states of consciousness. And one of the experiences is that you start to be more energetic. You start to feel energy more. And you start to reconnect with your resonance. You start to feel energies that you've never felt before, right? You start to resonate with people that you've never resonated with before, meaning that you are trusting your energy as opposed to your mind. And one of the things that's happening, whether we want to experience it or not, is that there are a lot of forces right now that are going to be deceiving or sort of trying to convince us or pull us away from the light. And I typically don't like talking about this because I don't like to give it juice. I don't like to give it power. But I want to share this message because it is extremely important right now for you to figure out your discernment and your resonance. Because as we get brighter, as we hold higher frequencies, as the earth begins to get brighter and hold higher frequencies, that which we are dismantling and alchemizing, the dark, is going to get louder. Not bigger. It's not going to grow. It's going to get louder. And one of the ways, one of the little tools that this dark energy sort of has is that it tries to convince the human of these dark agendas, right? Or these fears, manipulation, mind control, things like that. So here's what I want to encourage all of you to begin to do. And many of you are already doing this. Only you know your truth. Only you can tell you your truth. And energy is a vibration. It's a frequency, and you will feel it. So if there is a message that comes through, if there is information that comes through, if there is something that is being given to you by somebody else, by a YouTube channel, by media, by an organization, it only becomes your truth if you resonate with it, meaning if your energetic field connects to it and says, that feels good, that feels right, that feels true. Not, well, this person is telling me this, or this organization is telling me this, or this massively large popular teacher is telling me this, and therefore it must be true. You understand? It must be true if they're telling me this is not resonance. Resonance and discernment is, this feels true to me. This feels good. This feels right. And how do you start doing that? You have to be in your body in order to feel your energy, your resonance, and the energy of what's being given to you. It's the only way. Otherwise, you will be in your mind trying to figure out if this is true or not. Is that true? Is that true? Is that true? Is that true? And you're going to be searching for all these truths externally. The truth is here. The truth is right here. No matter what I say, no matter what anyone else says, your truth is in here. And what you'll notice is, perhaps as you continue to shift, as your body continues to shift into higher frequencies, is that you will start to recognize your truth or your resonance shifting, which is why all truths are truths until they are no longer your truth. So if there is messages coming at you that feel restricted, that feel fearful, that have this doomsday stuff sort of experience, that doesn't feel good, it doesn't feel expanded, it doesn't feel like love and light and joy and peace. Just ask yourself, do you want to choose to play in that and believe that? Because in the quantum field, there are an infinite amount of truths that you can pull into your reality. There are truths of doomsday coming, and there are truths of light and love and joy and expansion coming, and they both are true. It's a matter of you choosing the truth you want to hold. And the more we hold the truths that are not doomsday, fear-based, crippling, restrictive, the faster we will step out of and no longer be experiencing and holding those truths. So my guides gave me this picture of, like, you know, when you have a deck of cards and you throw the cards up in the air and they're just like spattered all over, right? And you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to pick up all these cards. And which ones are gonna land face up and which ones are gonna land face down? That's the energy we're in right now. It's like, what's my truth? What do I believe? What do I not believe? Right? There's so much being thrown at us. So come into your body and feel, discern, trust your frequency beyond anyone else's, beyond any other information. And from there, you create your reality. From there, you choose what you want your reality to look like. Okay? That's the message. Okay, so let's get into some questions. So the information that comes through me, you guys, is many of you know, but I'll say it again. It's coming from a group of 12 beautiful light beings in the Galactic Federation of Light. The Galactic Federation of Light, you can imagine as like Earth's guides, right? Like we all have guides that are watching us as we navigate our human journey. And the Galactic Federation of Light is a large, massive group of beautiful beings of light that are assisting Earth as they're Earth's guides, okay? So I work with 12. They're behind me right now. Yeah. Okay, let's begin. Okay, so this is from Maureen, and she asks, hi, Lori. I would appreciate if you could speak to the Federation of Light about the big announcement. I don't know what the big announcement is. And the second global lockdown that is to come. And will this be before the end of the year? Many thanks. So different continents hold different energies, and different countries hold different energies, and different states and cities hold different energies. So to say that something is going to happen for the entire Earth plane and all continents isn't necessarily true. It's impossible to sort of say what's going to happen in the United States is going to happen in Australia. Okay, so it's unique to the continent. The body of land is holding a frequency. From the larger perspective, the entire Earth plane and human collective is shifting density into light, dark into light. Okay, lower frequencies into higher frequencies. So that's an absolute, that's happening. Okay, but how each continent, landmass, and how each country goes through it is unique. And so there are already other countries that may be experiencing a second lockdown. There is a timeline that we literally veered away from. I spoke about that, I think, a week and a half ago, maybe last week. I can't remember. Time is so funky. But we veered away from experiences like a second hard lockdown, at least in the United States, right? Even though there are trickles of this starting to appear, it's not going to be as massive as it was going to be, the timeline that we were moving down. And how are we able to shift that timeline? We continue to hold higher states of consciousness. We continued to stay focused on that higher timeline. So will there be more lockdowns up until the end of the year? It's possible. It's possible there will be other countries that are going to go into a second massive lockdown. It's very rare. It's not necessary. They're saying that there is a small percentage that countries like the United States will go into another massive lockdown. But certain states may find themselves starting to experience a little bit more of a lockdown. I'm in California, I haven't. So we've literally veered away from what could have been another massive lockdown, right? For a lot of countries. And part of this message is to really start to hold this understanding that continents are land masses that are holding frequencies that are different than other land masses, right? They're independent of each other, even though they're all in this one large collective consciousness. And so they're unique to their own experiences of how they're going to clear dark to light, low to high, right? But I will preface one more time that the direction and timeline that we were all going in as one human collective shifted. So whatever each continent was going to experience, it's not going to be as bad or as massively impactful in a negative way, okay? And because the cards are in the air, it is very, very, very difficult for the Galactic Federation of Light to give me any definitive answers. It's almost impossible for them to do that. Okay. And so a lot of these questions that are being asked that I'm going to answer today, the answer could change in 2 weeks. The answer could change in 3 days. That's how fast we are shifting the human collective. You know, when you try to predict what's going to come in this now moment, the way we are shifting, it is almost impossible. That's the reality we're living in. We're becoming more of a quantum field. So when you start to actually understand the quantum, and you start to understand what it means to be in higher states of consciousness, there is no such thing as predicting the next now. You can't. You can't predict the future. It doesn't make sense because you are always, first of all, you're creating the reality that you want to experience. And we are shifting frequencies so quickly. And when you shift a frequency, you jump a timeline. And when you jump a timeline, whatever timeline you are on, with the opportunities and experiences to be had are no longer there. You're in a new timeline with new experiences and new opportunities. And so there's the timeline that the individual is on, there's the timeline that the country is on, there's a timeline sort of that the continent is on, and there's a timeline that the whole entire human collective is on. So there's all these cards up in the air. Okay, so hold that as an awareness when you begin to continue to move forward in your now moments in terms of what's coming, right? Predictions. What are we going to see? It's almost impossible. Okay, second question by Helen Bay. Astrologers and others say that we can expect overwhelming happenings this month of October. Many awakened and sensitive also feel big things ahead. Yes, there are lots of big things ahead. Great disclosure of some sort, more darkness coming to light. Yep. What is the Federation of Light saying about this intense time ahead, and what will it show? I guess I kind of just talked about this a little bit, but so we are clearing very low frequencies from the human collective. So I want you to look at it as like a huge basketball. And that's the third dimensional field. Okay. And in that basketball, 3/4 of that basketball is filled with, let's just call it dense consciousness, fear, mind control, manipulation, murder, torture, satanic rituals, all kinds of stuff that we're seeing, right? Corruption, low consciousnesses, 3/4 of that basketball. And then you've got this little ping pong that's the 5D consciousness that we're stepping into more and more. It's bright light, it's bright. We are shining this bright 5D consciousness onto that third dimensional basketball for the sole purpose of dismantling 3/4 of that basketball's consciousness. It doesn't happen overnight. And so it's this roller coaster ride of slowly, courageously beginning to literally melt away or dismantle 3/4 of that consciousness. And so this up and down is sort of like this roller coaster ride that we're on, right? Of like intense experiences of like, oh my God, we're in lockdown now. Oh my God, we're out of lockdown. Oh my God, there may be a vaccine. Oh my God, there's not a vaccine. Oh my God, there's going to be some sort of ET disclosure. Oh my God, there wasn't ET disclosure. Oh my God, there's a solar flare. Oh my God, the solar flare didn't happen, right? All of these kind of like up and downs that we're going to start to experience for quite some time. a couple of years minimum. This isn't a doomsday conspiracy sort of thing that there's talking about, the Galactic Federation of Light. This is how consciousness shifts. It's not like, oh my God, get ready, it's going to get worse. It's not going to get worse. Okay, it's almost like the first hit, which was COVID. The first domino was COVID. And that was the most intense for us because we literally got rattled out of our complacency. We got rattled out of a frequency that we were in for so long. All of us, even if you were awakened, you got rattled out of a frequency that you may have been stagnant in, especially those that were not awakened, right? So we got rattled into a higher state of consciousness. And now that we're sort of awakened to what's going on, anything that comes next, any of that 3/4 density that we're dismantling or melting, it's almost like we're ready now. We're prepared. We have a tool belt. We're ready to do this, right? So it's not a matter of looking at what's coming in the future as worse than, right? Another pandemic is coming, right? It's not that it's going to be, you don't want to see it as that. You want to look at it as, oh, it's another consciousness that's going to be shown because this bright ping pong ball is getting bigger. It's getting brighter because more humans are starting to stand and hold this light in their bodies. And as they start to hold this light in their bodies, it's shining on this 3/4 density in this basketball. And a natural process of the evolution of human consciousness is that this basketball is going to start to decrease in size. And so all these little pieces of the consciousness that's darker or lower is going to have to come out, alchemize into light. Okay. So is it going to get worse? It's not going to get worse. There's just going to be more to alchemize. Is the month of October going to have more disclosure? Perhaps, perhaps not. It depends on what we're capable of holding as a collective, as a human collective, right? But this isn't done. It's not stopped, right? This is going to take some time to dismantle all of this. And the reason that certain things are being shown to us first before others is that the human psyche has to be able to hold the density that is going to be shown to us. This density is consciousness, it's energy. Imagine standing and watching somebody have a fight, like two people physically fighting. If you're holding a higher state of consciousness, you may have a very adverse reaction to it. It may be very uncomfortable to watch. You may get sick to your stomach. You may get so just you can't handle it. And that's just a physical fight. The consciousness that is in this basketball is so dark. It's very, very dark consciousness. And the human has this thing that they call cognitive dissonance. And cognitive dissonance is a protective kind of shield that we have, where if we can't hold something as truth, because it would literally break us down, we do not believe it because we can't hold it. So these energies that are being dismantled, some of them are still very, very dark. And we're not quite ready yet to see it or to feel it. So we're being prepared. It's a very graceful process that's happening. We're being prepared. And so first we're going through COVID because that is what we were capable of being able to energetically experience first. You have to start to look at this as energy, not as the physicality of what you're seeing. Meaning, is sex trafficking and satanic rituals and all of this horrific stuff that's been happening underground and on top of the ground going to be shown to us? Yes. Were we capable of receiving it 6 months ago? No. When are we going to be capable of receiving it? I don't know. It's an energy. It's a consciousness. And we have to be able to see it, to alchemize it. We have to be able to feel it, to alchemize it, right? That's what we've been doing with COVID and all the things that came up with COVID. So if the human body isn't ready yet to see it and feel it, it's not going to come up. It's a very beautiful process. So that's how you want to see things. That's the lens you want to start using if you can, in terms of what's coming next. Who's doing what? What does it feel like to me? Right? That's why it's so important to get into your body to feel your resonance. Right? Okay, let's go to the next question. Denise. Oh, these are all the same kind of in the same venue. That's great. I'm going to move on to different questions, don't worry, but here we go. I'm confused about the high level arrest, savings of thousands of children going on while we see no actual facts or reports of that. Tunnels blowing up, blah, 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 rescuing of children. I can't wrap my head around it that this is going on a massive scale. So this is basically what I just talked about. It is happening. It is absolutely happening. And it's happening sort of in a way that is discreet so that it can begin to be dismantled until the human collective is ready to hold it more. And the powers that be, sort of these higher dimensional light beings, believe it or not, or sort of assisting and connecting to the humans and guiding them through this process of timing based on the frequency of the entire human collective. Because believe it or not, there isn't going to be more chaos created, even though it's going to feel like more chaos is being created. It's a chaos that we're capable of holding. It's a chaos that we're capable of being able to move through. It's not a chaotic chaos that cripples us. So it will be given to us in a time when we are able to energetically receive it. And in the meantime, it is absolutely, unequivocally, 1000% being dismantled behind the scenes. And I want to preface this by saying that there are higher dimensional light beings that are working with these humans. Just like higher dimensional light beings work with me, higher dimensional light beings work with you. So there are forces beyond the human that is assisting the entire human collective right now with dismantling that 3/4 of the dark energy on that basketball. And, you know, it's a matter of us having patience and staying focused in the higher consciousnesses and staying focused on that higher timeline. The next question by Deb. It's been said that energy doesn't lie. Yet if we are mind controlled or brainwashed, which we have been, our perception will misinterpret the energy we see and feel, and we won't know any different. Our bodies will react with joy or revulsion, depending upon our programming. How do we really see and feel the energy as it truly is, thus bypassing the programming? So this is a really great question, and it's what my guides showed me this morning. They literally showed me what mind control and programming feels like on an energetic level. And here's how I experienced it. If you are not in your body feeling the energy, you will be more susceptible for being controlled by the mind because you're in your mind. These energies can't control you if you're in your body feeling energy, because energy absolutely, unequivocally does not lie. You cannot manipulate energy. You can manipulate the mind. You can't manipulate energy. So even if a lower frequency consciousness, let's call it a reptilian, moves itself into some sort of beautiful ascended master like Jesus, they make themselves look like Jesus. Their energy is still their energy. And when you engage with the reptilian energy, that reptilian energy cannot manipulate its energy into love. It's a frequency. It can't manipulate into a different frequency that it's not holding. It's impossible. So it's going to try to make you believe it by looking like a certain thing, trying to say certain things to you to make you believe it, right? Mind, your eyes are seeing it. Your mind is trying to interpret it. What is your body doing? What is your body feeling when you connect with that energy? When you watch media, when you watch posts on your Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or whatever, when you watch YouTube videos, when you watch interviews, when you engage with people, get out of your mind. Stop trying to make sense of it. Does this make sense? And get into your body and feel it on an energetic level. This is where truth lies. because everything is energy. And the reason that we are waking up out of the mind control and manipulation that we have been in for thousands of years is because we are coming back into our bodies and energy. That's why. Waking up means I'm an energetic being. I'm feeling energy and I'm increasing the frequency. My body is increasing its frequency, which allows me to feel even more energy. The more energy I feel, the more I understand my truth. I see through the third dimensional matrix. The third dimensional matrix is the storylines, is the narratives, is the titles. It's the manipulation and programming. If it's a doctor telling you this, then it must be correct because they're a doctor. If this person is telling me this because they're this person, right? Famous person or super popular, then it must be true, right? That's mind. You got to see through the matrix. You got to go beyond the stories and the narratives of a third dimensional matrix, which is words, titles, all that stuff, programs, boxed in thinking, and you have to move into your body and start to feel. It is all energy, all of it. Everything is energy. And we are designed to navigate this world energetically. So no matter what is trying to manipulate or control you, if you are in your body and in your energy and in your sovereignty, you will never be manipulated. Sovereignty is being empowered in your energetic field without the manipulation of any other energy coming in. And how do you come back into your sovereignty? You are in your body with your breath. You are recognizing that you're a being of light inside that body. You are feeling energy all the time, including emotions. And you are tapping into, through your energetic field, the energy of every single external experience. Everything. And you are walking around empowered and sovereign, and it is all about you, your truth, your light, your frequency. And you see these things coming in and you're like, nope, not going to happen. Nope, not going to happen. Nope, not going to happen. Don't like that. Don't like that. No, thank you. Yes, I'll take that. No, I won't take that. It's like going to a restaurant and they give you a menu. The menu is the third dimension. And the waiter says, okay, this is what you're going to have for dinner. A hamburger, French fries, a milkshake. You're like, I'm sorry, there's a huge menu here. I think I'd like to choose what I'm going to have. I'm actually going to have, my body wants a fresh green salad, a green smoothie, and cheesecake, right? So the waiter is this third dimensional matrix that we've been in. This is what you do. This is what you think. This is how you feel. This is who you are. And when you start moving into your body, you're like, I don't think so. That's not how I feel. And this is what we are doing in every now moment. Okay? So the powers that be, that are these darker sort of energetic beings that have been on the earth plane for thousands of years manipulating the human like puppets, are losing that control because we are waking up into our bodies, into our frequencies, into our alignment, into our sovereignty. We are feeling the BS. No more, right? So it won't last. Jane Stevens. Hi, Lori. Okay, my question is this. Is our own personal timeline trajectory manifested by us on a personal level day by day, separate from the collective consciousness timeline that moves according to how many people in the world are waking up? I know that we are all one, but if it's broken down, are we on two, our own personal destiny and the collective destiny? So the answer, it's a great question, and the answer is yes. It's a very complex yet simple quantum world and field we live in. Quantum field. So I want you to visualize that in your sovereignty, you're this white little cloud bubble, right? This bubble of white cloud. And you're moving around in every now moment. And based on the frequency that's coming out from your body, you are on a specific timeline. But you're also in a huge white bubble called the collective human consciousness. And that huge bubble is also on a timeline. So you're inside a timeline, you're inside a human timeline, and you're standing on your own timeline. So the piece about sovereignty is, regardless of what's happening on the human collective's timeline, there's still a quantum field that you live in. So you get to choose, regardless of what the human collective is doing, regardless of what timeline you're going down on this wave with the human collective, you get to decide how you're going to ride that wave, right? Based on your frequency. Are you going to tumble and have a hard time breathing and have to get, like hit the ground on the ocean ground and then come back up for a breath? Or are you going to glide, right? So you're choosing how you're going to experience the wave of the human collective timeline based on your own frequency and your own timeline that continues to shift. And because we are massively powerful warriors of light, the timeline that we're continuing to choose, the frequency that we're continuing to hold, impacts the entire human collective's timeline. Does that make sense? So you are in control of your reality in every now moment, no matter what the collective is doing. And you are still being pulled through the human collective timeline. So you're going to still experience what's happening with the human collective based on its massive wave of frequency. Sometimes the wave can seem really massive, and sometimes if the energy shifts, it can settle down a little bit and feel a little bit less massive. Regardless, you're on the wave going. And the way you experience that wave is your choice based on your frequency. So you want to stay focused on the timeline that you're on and that you're choosing as your now moment reality. And you want to stay focused on the large collective human timeline, which is always that higher timeline of 5D. Peace, expansion, unity, love, joy, all of that, right? That's where we're going. We're already there. We're just in a previous now moment getting there. Right? So you don't want to believe what's occurring in the now. You want to hold the knowingness of where we are. And you do that by choosing your timeline based on your frequency. Okay. So I already answered that question. Okay, Madison. Hey, Laura, I absolutely love you and the work you do. I've been a bit of a closeted spiritual person for quite some time. Welcome out of the closet, Madison. And as of recently, I've become more comfortable expressing this side of me to more people. Yay. How do you begin to show people in your life this deeper side of you? Do you have any tips on how to navigate this? Yes. So I'm gonna group this with a lot of questions that I got, which was, how do you be in relationship with family members, loved ones, husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, when they're not necessarily also in the same frequency or awareness of you? So first, when you start coming out of like this spiritual closet, when you start to wake up and you realize that your reality has shifted and the way you are now seeing things is very different than how you did a month ago, 2 months ago, and everyone around you is still in that space that you used to be in, right? So that can be a very interesting transition. And so the first thing you want to do, Madison, is you want to hold compassion for yourself as you're navigating this. Compassion means there's nothing wrong with me and there's nothing wrong with the individuals that aren't where I am. Just because I'm awakened and I'm seeing things from a different perspective doesn't mean I'm right and they're wrong. Okay? An unawakened person isn't wrong, right? They're not zombies, okay? They're just being human. And they're just in a frequency that you're not in. And so that's the first piece. There's no such thing as right, wrong. I'm better because I'm awake and I'm ascending and I understand all of this. It's a very egoic way of seeing it. And if you hold that, then you're going to feel a desire and a pressure and a suffering, so to speak, because they're not where you are, right? They're not where you are, and where you are is where they need to be. And so you now need to pull them. So you want to be really aware of that there is no right, wrong, good, bad. I am just where I am based on my frequency. And my truths are my truths. And they are not going to be my family's or my friends or my lovers' truths right now, my coworkers. And that's okay. But when you start coming out of the spiritual closet and you start waking up, you're going to want to start to be who you are. And this requires a huge amount of compassion for yourself as you navigate it. So do not beating yourself up if you aren't speaking your truth in that moment, right? Not making it wrong that you didn't speak up when someone asked you a question about your belief. You tiptoe into your awakening, perhaps. Some people come out of the closet and they're like gung-ho and they're just speaking and talking and being, and they're so excited and they're just like, everybody listen, I'm amazing, I woke up, right? And everyone's looking at you like you've lost your freaking mind. You're like, no, you got to see this. You got to see this. It's a phase of the awakening process where you're like, oh my God, I'm awake. There's so much. You guys got to see this. You got to understand this. You got to hear this. And then the next stage is like, oh, maybe I should just let them be and not waste my energy trying to wake them up. People are going to wake up when they're ready to wake up. Okay. And the best way to assist humanity is to be the higher states, is to just be you. That's it. You will have much less suffering, much less combative energy, much less arguing, much less frustration when you just allow everyone to be who they are in their now, knowing that this massive cloud of collective human consciousness is shifting. And as long as I am being who I am in my truth, in my resonance, as often as I can, I am shifting the individual next to me. That's how it works. So I have a lot of people in my life that don't see it the way I do. I don't do anything to shift them. I'm not afraid that they're not going to come along. I'm not afraid that they aren't seeing what I see. None of that. Because I'm honoring who they are as an individual in their human journey. I'm honoring their frequency. And I'm not right. And they're not wrong. And I know that as long as I continue to shine my light and hold the higher states, they will eventually have an opportunity to begin to tap into that higher consciousness, no matter what. That's evolution of consciousness. The evolution of consciousness is shifting from low to high, dark to light. Ascension is going from a lower frequency to a higher frequency. So eventually, the millions and millions of humans will have more of an opportunity to feel into these higher states. That little ping pong ball that a lot of humans can't necessarily feel or see or experience is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger as we play the role of the way shower, which is I'm going to just be the higher states of consciousness. I'm just going to be the higher states of consciousness, right? So have compassion, Madison, for yourself. Continue to start feeling into your truth. Watch and be the observer as you are with your friends and family that aren't necessarily used to you speaking these things. Watch their resistance or their reaction. Observe it as energy. Oh, my father doesn't like what I'm saying. Okay. So you're not identifying with the experience, you're observing the experience, and it will make it a lot easier. Oh, my mother is now having an adverse reaction to me saying ... Right? My friends don't like when I speak about ... Watch it, observe it. Because if you're in it and you're identifying yourself as this, right? Meaning that you are invested in the response and reaction from people, then you're going to find yourself twirling around in this energetic, what would I call it? Like hamster wheel with people. Their frequency and your frequency doesn't match. And off you go on this hamster wheel discussion with the purpose of hoping to convince them to jump over to your frequency, and they're not there. So instead of jumping in and playing in that energetic hamster wheel, just observe the reaction and response and triggering that you may be getting from other people in the beginning. Just observe it. Your role is not to change. Your role is to be you. Okay, next question. Iva, as my frequency is raising, and as I continue to do my part in all of this, I seem to have lost my joy and carefreeness. I can still laugh, but most everything I do feels like work that I need to do. There's a sense of urgency. I try to take care of myself, but sometimes I miss the good old days of my head in the clouds. Lori, you seem to have loads of joy. Not sure about that. And I guess my question is, how can we experience joy while working to raise the vibes? Great question. So I experience this every day. I experience this feeling of, oh, I'm here to work. I'm on a mission. I've got stuff to do. Like, I've got to show up. I've got to be holding these higher states of consciousness, right? And then there's also the very human, joyful piece where it's like, take a load off, have fun, laugh, play. My guides are always holding both of these for me, which is, yes, you're doing serious work. We are doing serious work out there, right? And it's intense and it's kind of focused, right? And at the same time, they say, what a gift to be in this physicality. What a gift to be able to love and to be able to hug people and to be able to eat foods and to be able to see a tree and smell a tree and jump into the ocean. And the gifts of being in physicality is huge. The ability to laugh so hard that your belly hurts, right? The ability to there's so many things that we get to do in this physicality. So it's a balance. It's always a balance. And, you know, they're always telling me, stop taking it so seriously, you know, like they hold this really beautiful energy of like this love. They have like it's like you would see somebody walk in with a huge smile and like this giddiness and excitement, and yet this power of like, you've got this, you're doing this, get to work, right? But it's also this very playful, loving, huge smile type of energy. So you're balancing both of those. You're balancing both at every now moment as often as you can. There are days where I feel super serious, and then there's days where I'm just laughing and giggling and sort of just being myself, right? And so both are extremely important. Both are in this now, right? Being human, very human, enjoying your foods, enjoying all of that is really important. Why not? We're here, right? And shifting the human collective is very important. You balance it. Helen, if an illness or a disease is part of our soul plan, i.e. an Akashic record, that's what I'm saying, can we still heal from it? So yes, the answer is yes. So in terms of healing physical diseases or Akashic record imprints that you brought in, like, you know, maybe you have, I don't know, just name any sort of disease that you're experiencing. What is going to happen and what we're going to see happening, it's just a matter of when this is going to happen. I have no idea. But when your body continues to hold more light, any illness, any disease, so a disease or an illness is a consciousness. It's in the cells and it's in the body, but it's a consciousness. And there's a natural process that will happen. Now, many of us are not seeing this yet because we're not holding high enough frequencies, but this is what's going to occur. The body is going to continue to hold higher and higher frequencies. And as it does, as the light continues to anchor in, it is impossible for disease and illness to exist. So there's going to be millions of miraculous healings throughout the next now moments as we go forward. But here's the piece that is always important to think about. My guides are always telling me this. Your thoughts, your mind is more powerful than the light in your body. Fortunately or unfortunately, which means that whatever you believe, that's going to create and dictate your reality. So you may be healed inside, but if you still believe that you're sick and that you have that illness and that illness is you and it's inside of you no matter what, you're going to store it inside. You're going to hold it. So it's a balance between trusting what is to be and what is to come as the body holds more and more light, not trying to control the body, and listening to your belief systems. And this is with anything. Your belief is going to create your reality. Unless you start to move in and trust your resonance. And then your resonance begins to create your reality. It's a very big difference. When your resonance creates your reality, you are in a flow state. You are surrendered. You are trusting the body and your energy to guide you and to lead you. It's a very uncomfortable feeling in the beginning, but this is what it means when you step into higher states of consciousness. You get out of the mind and the belief systems. And so it's very challenging with illness and with disease that you've brought in as an Akashic record. because you've lived with it for so long and you've identified as it, but you are not an illness. You are not a disease. You are not physicality. You're not any physicality. You're not any emotion, any thought, any belief, any illness, any disease, any of it. You're not it. You're experiencing it. And it is only energy. That's all it is. It's just energy. So as your body continues to hold more and more light, it is inevitable that that dense consciousness will dissolve out of you. It's how it works. You can fight it, you can disbelieve it, but that's how energy works. And so in this now moment, for those of you that have illness and disease, can you begin to hold a reality or another now moment, another timeline where your body is completely healed? This isn't about manifestation. This isn't about I'm going to heal myself. This is about understanding the trajectory of consciousness. This is about understanding the evolution of consciousness, which means that where my body is right now is not where it's going to be in 6 months. It's going to be in a higher frequency, which means it's going to be holding more light, which means whatever densities I have now are not going to be there then. And as I continue to move forward on this trajectory of evolution, my body is going to continue to hold more light, which means that whatever density is in my body, including illness and disease, will dissolve. I am not in control of this. I do not dictate this. I do not drive this. Until you fall into surrender. Suffering happens when you try to control the energy, and you can never control energy. That's why people suffer during the ascension process, because they're trying to control their ascension. They're trying to control their evolution in consciousness. You can never control energy from an egoic perspective, from the ego in mind, from the human ego, trying to control energy, you're going to find yourself suffering. So instead, realign and connect to your body again and your energy. Trust this. Trust your frequency. Trust the connection you have to your higher self and your guides. Start to, begin to, try. Start now. Observe the thoughts, observe the behaviors, observe the old programming, observe the old belief systems, observe it. Because it's not going to go away just like this. Observe it, observe everything. I am not my beliefs. I am not the programming. I am not the disease. I'm not it. And if you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that there's another now moment where this body doesn't have illness in this now lifetime, wouldn't you kick back a little bit more and just relax? And from a state of relaxation and surrender, your body shifts faster because there's no resistance. You're allowing everything to flow. It's like moving down a river. And you're constantly bumping into things, belief systems, programs, manipulation, disease, illness, relationships, whatever it is, jobs, you're bumping. But as long as you let go and just allow yourself to bump against it, you're going to continue to flow. You're not going to get stuck. But if you find something that's like, oh my God, that looks huge, I got to figure out how I'm going to get away from that boulder, and you try to figure out how you're going to not hit that boulder, there's a lot of effort, there's a lot of suffering and struggling, and most likely you're going to hit the damn boulder and you're going to be exhausted, and then you're going to grab the damn boulder so that you can breathe. And then you're attached to the boulder. So it's all about letting go of anything and everything and trusting the body. You just are, and you know where you're going, which is a now moment, but it's another now moment. Make sense? I hope so. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about is this question came in a lot. I was going to do a separate video on it. I most likely am going to do a separate video on it. Okay, so two things. I want to talk about the event, the 12/21 or whatever this event that everyone's really focused on, and there's been so many questions about this. So the reason I have been holding off on discussing this event is because as we as a human collective get closer and closer to that date, which in and of itself is ridiculous, because When things happen, they don't, they happen in a quantum field. They happen in a now moment. And so attaching to a date can be a little bit restrictive. Okay. So, but why I've been holding off on this and why my guides have been telling me to hold off on it is because we are shifting timelines very quickly based on the frequency of the collective. And so there is a predetermined experience or energetic event that is going to be happening in December. And it's for the assistance of humanity. It's like a little bump in frequency. It is not what people are asking in terms of a split, like Dolores Cannon talked about. Somebody said Dolores Cannon talked about a 3D, 5D split. P.S. We're in the split right now. We are in a 3D and 5D new earth right now. We are in the split. There is not a separate earth that we move to or we go to. From a quantum field, everything is happening right here, right now. That's the quantum. It's like the Russian doll, where there's a big doll, you pick it up, and there's a little doll, and you pick it up, and there's a littler doll, and you pick it up, and there's a littler doll. But when you look at it from one perspective, it looks just like one doll. But there are many dolls in that one doll. All you have to do is pick the doll up. That's the quantum field. We are in a third dimensional field. We are in a fourth dimensional field. We are in a fifth dimensional field. We are in a sixth dimensional field. We are in a seventh dimensional field, and onward. And it is all based on the frequency of your body in terms of what dimensional field you are existing in and using the lens to see out of, which is based on the frequency of your body and what it is anchored in. And right now, many millions of humans are moving between a third and a fifth, moving through fourth and going between a third and fifth dimensional field. Okay? That's what's happening right now. So this event that has been kind of predetermined for humanity to assist them and bump the entire collective into a higher frequency is not about splitting. It's not about dividing or taking the ascended one somewhere and the non-ascended one somewhere. And now there's no, you're not with your family. It is not about a massive flare that is going to create any sort of disruption on the physical earth plane. What is occurring is that there is going to be a bump in frequency. And because we ourselves as warriors of light are continuing to increase the entire human collective as a cloud, that bump is going to be less impactful, i.e., we have been doing the work, so we don't necessarily need the intense bump that was determined for us. It's almost like you're running a marathon, right? And your team is like, well, we don't know how she's going to feel on mile 18. So we're going to prep with like these goodies just in case she needs it, right? Because we don't know what she's going to need. But as you are moving through your miles, you're freaking rocking it. You're hydrated. You've got your little gel things you're eating. You are solid. And so when you get to mile 18, i.e. December 21st, this huge, spectacular event that they were going to give you, you don't need all of it. Maybe you'll take a couple bottles of water to jolt you forward, give you a little bit more energy. But this big, massive sort of experience they were going to give you, you don't need because you've been preparing. So in a previous timeline, there was going to be a massive sort of frequency and energetic jolt to us. And it would have, it's almost like what COVID did. Okay, you can imagine COVID as a massive solar flare, so to speak. It's a massive jolt. But we've done amazing work, you guys, in these last 7 months. And so we're doing it ourselves. So this solar flare and this event is not going to be as intense as what people are talking about. We are in the split. There is already a 5D Earth right here, right now. Your body's already holding 5D consciousness, and you're standing next to people that are not able to hold it yet. You've got you and someone else, and you're walking down the road, right? And you're holding higher frequencies, and they're not holding the same frequencies. And your realities are completely different. I'll give you an example. You walk into the grocery store, right? And there's some sort of event that happens. Somebody's yelling at somebody else. There's some sort of scuffle. A human that's holding lower frequencies may want to get involved. They may get angry. They may want to yell. They may want to do certain things or respond or have a trigger that is in a lower frequency. No right or wrong, just based on frequency. You're holding a higher state, so you're seeing it as energy. You're like, wow, look at them have this energetic exchange. Your reality is completely different. Your response is completely different. You don't have a trigger in the same way. That is two different dimensional fields in the same now moment. That's ascension. We don't go anywhere. We are shifting right here, right now on the same earth plane. So this solar flare that's coming and these other sort of events that people are preparing for are not going to be as intense because we have already done so much work. And if we continue to hold the higher states of consciousness, we don't need this massive bump. We don't need another sort of experience like COVID that's going to catapult us. We've got this on our own now. So yes, there's going to be a massive influx of energy, high frequency solar flare energy, light from the sun. Solar flare is a kind of like scary word for high frequency light from the sun, which we're always receiving. But it's more of like a laser going, here we go, you guys, putting you in the oven, right? But because we're going to be holding much more frequency in our body, it's not going to impact us in the same way. And this is how it's designed to be. There's always this assistance from on high. There's always assistance from the higher dimensional realms. But we're capable of doing it ourselves now. That's why we're in the body. That's why we're called light workers. Light workers. Star seeds. You're seeding the planet with this light. Way showers. We're showing the way. And so a lot of these like doomsday things that have been kind of predetermined, or this is what's going to happen, prepare, they're not going to happen. They could have happened, but they're not. Why? Because we're holding higher frequencies over and over and over. And so there will always be narratives. There will always be storylines. There will always be, because it's quantum, these timelines that we can connect to. From the higher perspective, the person running the marathon, I'm not going to break down. I'm not going to need any of that extra stuff if I continue to focus and take care of me by holding higher states of consciousness over and over and over. That is seriously how powerful we are. That's how powerful we are as beings of light in physical form. And this is why you're in the physical form right now. On top of all the fun physical experiences you get to have, you're here to stand in body, embodied, reconnecting to the light that you are, reconnecting to the light of your physical body, remembering how the body works as a beacon of light, shifting dense consciousness, remembering how the quantum field works, which is there are an infinite amount of timelines, and I'm only focused on the timelines that hold higher states of consciousness. I'm not playing in any of the other ones. Why would I waste my time? And if there is somebody talking about a timeline that is doomsday, I'm going to use my creative power of will, free will, and choose a timeline that doesn't have doomsday. It's your choice. We are all on the massive wave, and we're all choosing to ride the wave the way we choose. Nobody can tell you how to ride your wave. And the way we shift The wave is to hold higher states of consciousness over and over and over. And then we ride the wave right into the 5D field while all of the dark, crazy, chaotic, dense, horrific crap that is going to come up, that is going to continue to come up, that is not bad or good. It is just dense consciousness. It's going to come up on the wave, and we aren't going to worry. We're going to feel it. We're going to see it. All this weird stuff floating in the wave with us. And we are focused. And we keep going. And we pull the trajectory of the wave no matter what continues to pop up on the wave. If you want to focus and be consumed, then you can do that. Or you can see it and feel it and say, oh my God, that is dark shit. Holy cow, we've been manipulated. Wait, the what? The media has been mind controlling me for 45 years. What? I've believed all this stuff and it's not even true. What? Right? You're watching this stuff come up. And then what do? You come back here and say, hold on, who am I? What am I? What's going on here? Got it. Alchemizing, melting, dissolving. So are things going to get worse? They're not going to get worse. They're going to continue to bubble up so that we can see it. Reframe how you see things. Because if you say, oh my God, it's not good that things are going to get worse. I'm sorry, but how are we supposed to shift the collective if we don't see the dark crap that's behind? Just reframe it. See it as a gift. This is how we move into 5D consciousness and anchor it. Is that we pull out the dark and we see it. Oh, look there's another dark pocket. Oh, look there's another dark pocket. Holy shit, look at that satanic stuff that's been happening with millions of children. Oh my freaking God, I can't look at that. Okay, stay focused on the wave. There's millions of other way showers that are going to focus on that, right? There's nothing wrong with these things continuing to come up. It's how you frame it. And if you see it as energy, dissolving from the wave so that we can fly through and into 5D, then bring it. It's the same with your own clearings and your own movement into higher states of consciousness. If you looked at the emotions and thoughts and traumas that you had as bad, oh no, I can't have another bad thing arise. I can't have another horrible thing come up in my body. I'm sorry, but it's in your body. You either ignore it and let it stay in the body, or you courageously say, bring it on. I can literally dissolve this by seeing it and feeling it, no matter what I went through in my past. That's why we're so courageous. The only way you shift into higher states of consciousness is that you are actually feeling everything in your body courageously. And we have to do that with the collective. And if we look at it as like, oh my God, it's bad if something else pops up, we're going to be in trouble, because that's how you clear the collective. Reframe it. There's nothing bad or wrong about more insane crap coming up so that we can clear it. Get it over with. Like, bring it on. Right? Bring it on. Let's go. Because we're warriors of light. We have so much light in our bodies that we can dismantle it. Dismantling it or alchemizing it by seeing it and feeling it. And not everyone is going to do that, and you don't need to. We've got millions upon millions riding the wave. Not everyone needs to look at it. But millions are going to look at it and continue to look at it. So when people say, oh, there's teachers or there's people that are perpetuating some sort of agenda that's going to be, there's more intensity coming or there's more dark coming, it's like, excuse me, 3/4 of this consciousness that we're in, called 3D, is dark right now still. It's a reality. It's just like your own physicality. When you first began to wake up, it was like, oh shit, I got a lot of stuff I got to alchemize in my body. There's no right or wrong to it. When you start seeing it as bad or right and wrong, then you're stuck in that matrix. You're stuck in 3D. You're creating some divide around it. It's just consciousness. There's nothing wrong with it continuing to come up. So will there be more stuff coming up? Absolutely. Are we prepared? Absolutely. Is it going to destroy us? No, it's not. No, not at all. Are we going to be in more love and more joy and more peace and more unity? Absolutely. Even in the midst of stuff coming up? Absolutely. How's that possible? Just watch. Watch. Like the eye of the storm. You'll be able to stand in this or ride this wave regardless of what's coming up. That's what we've been trained to do these last 7 months. That's what we've been trained to do, is to be able to hold anything that comes up next for the collective. You're doing this for the collective. You're not even doing it for you. You're doing it for the collective. And you've been prepared. You've been trained, believe it or not. And you won't know that you've been trained until something else comes up and you're like, holy cow, follow me, you guys. Watch this. I've got this. And then you be in the higher states as something else boils up. And this is the evolution of consciousness. And this is why you're here. There you go. Bada boom, bada bang. 1:11. 1 hour and 11 minutes. All right. I think we're good. I think we are good. So lots more questions. I didn't get to them all, but I feel like we addressed a lot of stuff. If you're feeling lonely, if you're feeling lost, if you're feeling kind of just blah, the one thing that I would recommend is to remember that you're not the physicality. Okay? To start to try to tap into and remember that you dropped in here for a reason. And that sometimes feeling blah and feeling lonely and feeling depressed and feeling like giving up is just part of the process of being on the wave. It's part of the process of being on the wave. And if you know that the wave is always moving, energy is always moving, don't attach to it. Don't attach to it. Allow yourself to feel it, but stay detached from it. There's got to be another reason and purpose for me being in this physicality. I have to trust that in every now moment, my body is continuing to shift into higher states of consciousness. And then listen to any victim mentality that you're holding. Listen to any limiting thoughts, limiting beliefs. Just listen to them and become the observer. Become the observer. Give yourself more love and compassion for being in the human form. It's not easy being here, right? And yet it's amazing to be here. It's amazing to be doing what we're doing. It is amazing that we are doing this. It is absolutely a miracle. It's a miracle that we are capable of pulling an entire human collective out of a very doomsday-like timeline, which is what we freaking did 2 weeks ago and what we will continue to do. That is what we are doing. That's what you are doing. Even if you're angry, even if you're depressed, even if you're having a hard time, because it's all quantum. So everything's happening at the same now moment. We are shifting an entire freaking human collective into higher states of consciousness. I can't even believe it, but it's actually happening. So remember that. Remember this. You are massively important right now. You are massively courageous for feeling everything and seeing everything. Remember, as your body starts to hold higher states of consciousness, you will feel more. You will be more energetic. It's part of the process. Discern, discern, and discern, and discern what is your truth, what is no one else's. That's it, period. What do you feel? Not what are you thinking? What do you feel? Feel every message. Feel every piece of information coming at you. Feel it. Don't just think. Don't just use your mind. Move in and feel if it resonates. Because that is how you will empower yourself. That is how you will continue to stay empowered. And that is how you will know your truth. Okay. I love you guys. Thank you for being here. I'm so glad I did this live. And oh, there's a 10:10. Thank you. There's a meditation that Jason Shirka and myself are doing. And it's going to be beyond powerful. So this meditation is going to be on this Saturday, 10:10. It's going to be at 10 a.m. Eastern. There is a Facebook event page that Jason set up. And I'm going to post all of this information later this afternoon here on YouTube on the community tab. We will be connecting live on my Instagram account, live on Jason's Instagram account, live on Jason's YouTube channel, and live on the Facebook event page. We're connecting at 9:45 a.m. Eastern. And we're going to gather everybody and talk a little bit about what we're going to do. We're going to meditate for 10 minutes. So from 10 to 10:10 Eastern Standard Time. And then we're going to come out and speak for a few minutes. And there is a huge, massive shift that we are going to do in this meditation. And we're actually going to do this every month. Jason and I are going to do this global meditation every month. But I encourage you, if it resonates, to join us all over the world. We've already got over 20,000 people ready to go. And so the more we have, the more light can instantaneously shift that density that we were talking about earlier. So again, it's 10:10 this Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific Standard, California. And I'll post everything in the community tab so that you can join us. I'd love to see you guys there. Also, I am doing a live meditation tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific on my Patreon community page. And of course, many of you know about my community, my Patreon community. The link is down below in the description box if you want to join the Patreon community. But I'm going to be doing a very unique and powerful and potent meditation tomorrow, the 8th at 11 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, California time, in Patreon. So those are the two sort of updates. I love you guys so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of my freaking soul and light. If there even is a bottom, there isn't. It's infinite, for being here now, and for courageously feeling everything, and for courageously remembering who you are, and for courageously speaking your truth. Until next time, mwah, I love you.